The 0-2. Swing and a miss, strike three. Wrap this one up in green and white.
Hello, RailCats fans, and welcome back to another edition of the RailCats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Savedich, and today we're going to be talking about a handful of things. We're going to be talking about some roster moves that have been made with the RailCats, and we are going to talk about the All-Star break, the Homerun Derby, and the AllStar Game, and what I think, and the team that I think most of the American Association should model their game around and model their production around off the field. But we'll get that in a second. First off, I want to start with the roster moves. This was leaked to me, I would say, about 2 days before the Homerun Derby happened. So I think it was the last two games of the RailCats against the Dogs before the All-Star break that Michael Cruz was going to retire. And I didn't want to leak that out because, you know, I don't ever want to be that I'm not a person, let's put it this way. I'm not a person that's going to put things out first on news that I don't know that's 100% true. Now, with this source, it was a very good source because this is what ended up happening. He does talk to the players very often at games. So you hear it straight out of the mouth of the person, basically, that it's been confirmed, then, you know, that's a good lie. But I just don't want to be that person until the roster moves have been made. It's a huge thing I have with Adam Scheffner. I'm a Colts fan. I was a big Andrew Luck fan, and then when he announced that Andrew Luck was going to retire way before Andrew Luck officially retired, that irks me. I hate when people do that. Just let the news come out and then report. I am not a person that's going to be first on the scene that, you know, this is what's going to happen, and I'm not inside the organization to do that, but I would rather it come out and then me react to it than me be the one that puts it out there and me be wrong. But like I said, the RailCats put him on the inactive list. Doesn't mean that he might not come back, but it sounds like he was a little bit homesick, so he's going back home to be there. And I can understand why, just based on the fact that, you know, he started out in the AAA, he got one game, and then he was sent to the American Association, struggled, and then started heating it up. But I mean, when you make it that far to the AAA and you think you have a shot, and you get sent down the American Association and playing for a RailCats team that, you know, at the beginning struggled, he struggled, they're starting to get there, but they're just not there. So I'm not saying that, you know, as we saw in the All-Star Game, there is talent in the American Association. The numbers are going up for the American Association as far as viewership, as far as people going to games. Everyone is seeing like a 20%, I think, increase. Now, does that help that the pandemic is over and more people are getting out and going to games and, you know, stuff like that? And I think the only thing that may hurt, which has hurt me, going to games, is gas. I mean, I think right now, but that's starting to seem like it's kind of settling down. I'm not... that may shoot back up. I may be wrong, but and then, you know, so I just think that in all those said, I think he's better off going somewhere, you know, going back home and enjoying being at home and that kind of stuff, which sucks as far as Jesus Mariaga and I believe Victor Nova, who, well, I more know of the Mariaga story that when he came to the RailCats, he wanted Cruz to be his interpreter. Like he said he has to stay here so he could be my interpreter. So I don't know how that's going to shape up. If they leave or whatever the case may be, I'm not 100% positive what the deal with that's going to be. So I hope they stay because Victor Nova has been productive. Yes. Jesus Mariaga, once he's on a complete tear right now. So I just hopefully they stay and don't go anywhere. And then John Cheeks was put back on the active list or off of the injured list, so I don't know if we'll see him in action or not, or if he's just going to recover for a little bit and see what goes on from there. But to put a nail in Michael Cruz's so far American Association career, this year at least, he had a batting average of 245. Played in 49 games, had 163 at bats, 15 runs, 40 hits, 11 doubles, which tied Lingua for first actually on the team. No triples, 4 home runs, 26 RBIs, which is second best on the team. 26 walks, which is second best behind Alec Olid in walks. Hit by pitch 9. He was a ball magnet. He got hit a lot. He had 39 strikeouts, and he had 8 errors, which we all know his defensive game wasn't totally best. When we looked at the extended batting here, Cruz had an OPS of 746, a slug of 387, on base percentage of 375, and plate appearance he had 200. Yes, it sucks to see him go. He was starting to heat it up. He was getting better, but sometimes you have to pick family over a game. So I think that's what he ultimately did, and I applaud him for his the word will come to me eventually. But I applaud his decision on going home and choosing family over a game. I mean, ultimately, that's what he did. And I'm a big family guy, so I can understand that, choosing a family over a game. It would be a different story if he was a superstar in the MLB and he kind of walked away and like, what's going on there? But, still, even at that, there's other opportunities out there for something. It's not like, I believe he's out of Puerto Rico, so it's not like he won't have opportunities to go and play baseball down there, because it's big down there. So that's what it's going to be. He's going to play baseball. So it's not the matter of he's just not going to play for the American Association. He may end up playing somewhere else. We'll keep maybe an eye on it, or whatever the case may be. But when we go, I was going to say this is why I was going to get into the batting order and stuff, because that opens up a spot. And I was thinking, maybe Jackson Smith will fit in there, but then the source, remember, he told me, he's like, hey man, Chris Burgess originally signed as a catcher, so he may move to that spot, which would push Sam Abbott to first. And then for me, just watching Nova play third in the outfield, especially third, he doesn't seem like he has a strong enough arm for third. I think he would be a better designated hitter, and then you would have Scatlin move in the outfield somewhere, and then Walraven just play third. So that may open up something for Javian Williams to finally fit into the lineup. We'll see on that aspect of it. But I think with this open spot, the RailCats really need to go for a pitcher. They need to either get a starting pitcher, or, with this whole, what Lamar Rogers is doing with the pitching a couple innings and then being a reliever a couple days later. So however he's working that out, I think you need someone that can start for you, but that can be a long reliever for you. We just need more consistency in the arms there. I know when you face certain players, when we look at when I go to look at the AllStar Game, actually, it was actually quite amazing what Nick Garcia and Jack Eisenberger were allowed to. They didn't put any. I mean, they didn't strike anyone out. They didn't walk anyone, but they got the outs they needed, which was kind of crazy with the think of the game that they had. It was, I think, all but one run scored off of home runs. I think in the very first, the East. I forget who had the ground out. But outside of that, it was all home runs. I mean, you had hits, but all the runs were scored on home runs except the one. So that was interesting to see as well in that aspect of it. But then the home run derby was outstanding. I think it was done very well. The setup was, you had the quarterfinals. You had 4 from the East, 4 from the West. The top 4 moved on to the semifinals. You had 3 minutes to hit as many home runs as you could in that 3 minutes. No timeouts. Not until you got into the finals, where it was 4 minutes, and you had 1 timeout to use. So when we look in who all participated in the finals, Case Keenum, or not in the finals, in the whole home run derby, Case Keenum from the Milkmen, Grant Kay from Chicago, Jimmy Kerrigan from Kane County, Casey Hopkins from the Dogs, John Silvaneo from Fargo Moorhead. I'd probably butcher that name. I apologize. Jabari Henry from Sioux Falls. Dave Thompson, Kansas City, who's the ultimate winner. And Josh Altman from Lincoln Salt Dogs in the semifinals. You had Grant K, Jabari Henry, David Thompson, and Josh Altman. And in the finals was Jabari Henry and David Thompson. And when they got progressively better as it went on, which is kind of surprising. They got progressively better as the tournament went on. When it came down to the finals, Henry hit 22, and then David Thompson ended up hitting 23, so he ended up walking it off, kind of dealio. Which, I mean, if you're the second person and you're gonna win, like, you're gonna walk it off no matter what. But still, it's fun to, when someone hit 22 home runs, you're like, oh, I have 4 minutes to do it. But I just think when I saw David Thompson first at bat, when he just had a methodical swing. He was full. He picked his pitches, and he had a consistent swing. None of it was rushed. He picked his spot. He just kind of went, and it almost bit him in the first. I think he had 11, and then it was like a hit off. That there was like a 3-way tie kind of dealio. So, and that's how he got in. But then he just got better from there. He had the more conservative kind of swings to him. And I just thought, as soon as I saw it, I was like, this guy's gonna win. He's gonna win, just because he was more consistent with the amount of hits he was getting, and then the more consistency with his swing. It wasn't, like I said, a lot of it wasn't rushed. But good job for David Thompson on that one. He did a heck of a job winning that. But then we move on to the AllStar Game here, and this is where I want to, I want to applaud the Chicago Dogs, applaud the American Association for waiting 3 years to finally get an AllStar Game going. And a big thanks to the Chicago Dogs for putting on a show at the Impact Field. And they may have the support from maybe some professional teams in Chicago, just because, if you don't know if you watch any of the Chicago Dog games at Chicago, or you're watching on American Association TV and it's at the Dog Stadium, you have Jenna Rose, who is like the in between, the sideline entertainment person for the Chicago Blackhawks. So that's cool to see. And then during the games, when they hit home runs, it's the Blackhawks goal horn. So, and they have the support from the Illinois Media School, which there's one located in downtown Chicago and Lombard. Probably a lot of them come from Lombard. The only reason I know this is because before the pandemic, I was actually enrolled in Illinois Media School. And I remember them talking about Chicago Dog games and being able to go to the games, work the cameras, do the behind the scene production, that kind of stuff. So I know a lot of these teams have interns that do this kind of stuff. They go from colleges. But I just think that the Dogs, so far, out of all the games I've watched on American Association, I think the Dogs have done the best job at their production. That it just seems like, the Home Run Derby I don't think was the best. I just think that's kind of hard. I think they had the camera placements a little different. I don't think they were on the right, you had 3 years to kind of plan it, and you just didn't really plan it out very well. But it's also kind of hard when you have a netting, you're trying to see over the netting, you don't have anything that's high enough over the netting to get where the ball was at. But that's stuff that you're not going to get as versus when you watch the MLB All-Star Game and then Home Run Derby, you get to see the ball as clear as day. That's just different. But I'm just saying, I just think that the camera angles and the production is done very well. The RailCats, on the other hand, they've struggled. I don't know, exactly. There just seemed to be some struggle there. I like when they tap into the PA system, and when you have the sideline entertainment person talking to other people and this and that. I like to hear that, or either hear that or have like a decent commercial kind of deal. Right now with the RailCats, they just keep playing their intro song over when you go to the game. You hear the intro. That's all they keep playing over and over and over and over and over. I get it. It is what it is, and I just think that every team should almost base their production value around the dogs. I just think they put on a good show, and I think it's easier for them to be more successful if they are having professional teams back them up, and they're going to have a bigger fan base in general because you're in Chicago, you're in Rosemont, but still you're right there. So, I just think that it's easier for people to go to games like that, or maybe even Kansas City. I'm not sure exactly where their team is located, or where it's located at in Kansas City. But I mean, you can see 294 right there. I mean, it's not like it's just out of the blue, nowhere else. It's right there. So it's not like people can't get to the game. They're gonna go to the game. I mean, it's not gonna be a sold out crowd every time you go, but still, I just think that you get, as a Chicago fan of most teams besides the Cubs and the Bears, I don't really watch basketball, so that is what it is. But I'm just saying, outside of football, I'm a Chicago fan, and us Chicago fans are just diehard fans in general, even though our teams freaking suck and they just trade everyone away. And that's beside the point, nor here nor there. But I just think that when the Chicago fan base is so dedicated to their teams that they're going to watch no matter what. I mean, yeah, you're gonna get a couple that are, you may not go to the games, but you're still gonna support the, this and stuff, and they're good, and they're on top of the division in the East, and they're gonna be a hard team to beat. I just think they're that good. I just think they've done a very good job at that. So this is what I would model your lineup around. This is what I would model your pitching staff, how you do things at games. This is what you have to do. And I'm not throwing shade at the RailCats. This is just what I'm seeing. All right. And I'm not saying, when I go to RailCats games, I love it. I absolutely love going to RailCats games. My fiance has said to me multiple times she likes the environment. We feel safe. It's fun to be at. You have the crazy diehard fans. You have the casual fans. You have the kids that are playing on the berm. You're able to win prizes and stuff like that. So it's not that, and there's good beer there too, I would say. You got Off Square and you got 18th Street, so it's not like you don't have good beer there. I just think that that's just, I haven't been to a Dogs game yet, so I have to go to a Dogs game before I can really say that. But I mean, they got stuff going up on the jumbo board and that kind of stuff. And I know you have to spend money to make money, but also you have to make money before you can spend money. So it's just one of those things that you just that I'm hoping that with this podcast that I can get more people to go to the games, to enjoy the games, to follow the RailCats, or even just follow the American Association in general, because this is a growing league, and it may not seem like it, but it is. I mean, the numbers that the commissioner was reading off, the average is about 20% from the pandemic, from like 2019 to now, is about 20% increase, and you're starting to see players that want to be in the American Association. They're not seeing it as I can't get into the Frontier League or not. They want to be here. So you're going to see more talent. You're going to see former Major League players. You're going to see those AAA players. You're going to see those players that want to crack the MLB roster again, to get up there. So you're going to see that. It may take a couple years, but you're going to see it. You just, it's just one of those things that says the American Association is starting to get a lot more attention, and to be at the bottom of the step of them climbing up is going to be fun. Once they get to that top peak there, it's going to be interesting to see how the American Association is ran and that kind of stuff. But that's who I think it. I think the team, this is what I want the RailCats to base almost their team, their model after, is the American Association. Now they're going to have money, so they're going to be able to spend money on the key players that they're going to need. But still, just not even so much what the product you put on the field, what the product you're going to put off the field, what productions you're going to do, what kind of entertainment you're going to have, that kind of stuff. They have like the pickle rays, they have these big with those big giant balls kind of deal that are aired up, and you got kids running into each other, and then, they put on a production a little bit than they have on the jumbotron. You can win $100, little drop things. I don't know what you call those, but it's just that kind of stuff that gets people to the games that they know they have. That it's just, but like I said, it's just one of those things that you have to kind of wait. And you have to spend the money on it, but you also got to make the money on it. It's just one of those things that in due time, I think so. I just know that the RailCats get a bad rep for being in Gary, which it's really, I haven't felt unsafe going to a game yet. Not one bit. I mean, the other day when we went to the game, me and her walked out after the game just by ourselves, and it's not like I felt afraid of anything. So I don't think anyone should feel afraid going to a RailCats game. That's not what I'm saying at all. No one should feel that. Now, if you're going there, doing some shady stuff, then yeah, that's when things bad happen. But you always see police officers in the parking lot moving around and that kind of stuff. So I never feel like that's an issue. And I think people need to get that stigma out of their head, about that, because people go to White Sox games, and that's in the south side of Chicago, and then, that rap, that kind of deal. So it is what it is at that point. But this is now looking at the RailCats here and looking at their schedule going after the AllStar game here. These are games you're going to want to win. You're going to face Winnipeg, which is a halfway decent team. Then you face Cleburne, which has been absolutely horrendous this year. You're going to have, after the 4-game series with Winnipeg, in Winnipeg, you are going to play Cleburne 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 12 games, right? This could boost you. This is what you need. This is the kind of stuff that you get boosted. And from here on out, you're not facing the Dogs anymore. You're not facing the Monarchs anymore. Okay, you still have Fargo. But you got Lake Country again. You got Kane County, Milwaukee. I mean, last time you played Milwaukee, you swept them. But you are now on the lighter half of your schedule. So, I mean, realistically, when you look at the schedule and you look at the RailCats that are 21 and 32 at this point, and I don't want that one, the division. And are still in fourth, which actually, when I'm looking at it, Cleburne actually jumped Lake Country, which they're kind of tied right now for the bottom of the league, but they got 19 wins. So realistically, they're only 2 games behind the RailCats. So that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be a big series there. So as I look back, I kind of get corrected here. I know the RailCats, they ran into a handful of buzzsaws. I mean, you ran in the Monarchs, you ran in the Dogs, that kind of stuff. So this is the lighter half of the schedule. This is when I'm a RailCat, I'm looking at the rest of the schedule. I should be foaming at the mouth, ready to go, because they're in a playoff spot. Do I see them reaching second? Probably not, but third is a good spot to be. You want to be foaming at the mouth at this point. You have a chance since I think 2017 to finally make the playoffs again. I'd be foaming at the mouth, ready to go. And this is what we've seen, a team that has fought all year tooth and nail for wins and losses. Yeah, even in some losses, they fought. But when you were listening to the broadcast, if you were listening to the American Association broadcast during the All-Star game, no one had a bad thing to say about the RailCats. They see things are changing. They see the culture is changing for the RailCats, and that's what you're seeing, that change. You want that change, so that it's coming, and everyone's seeing it. Everyone's starting to notice it. No matter where you go, you're starting to notice the change in the RailCats. You see it. You understand it. It's coming. Just a matter of when. But this is the point to really prove, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be done. And you're going to have to win some games here. You can't just falter. You can't have a month of July. You're coming up. You got 50 more games left. Well, less than 50 games, but you're technically past the halfway point at this point. All right, go out and get some wins. That's what we need. We need wins. I think then you go out and get a solid pitcher and go get some wins. That's what you're gonna need. I think the offense is there. I think the pitching needs to be there, but I think it needs to be more consistent. I don't think the offense should always run through Lingua. All right, not everything should run through him. And you're starting to see Mariaga and all those, so you're starting to see it. It's coming. Just gotta be patient. So I would like to hear your thoughts of the All-Star game, the All-Star break, that kind of dealio, the news with Cruz and what they should do about that, what your lineup should be, or anything like that. Or maybe there's a different team that you think they might, or who's a team in the league that they should model, most people should try to model after, or that kind of deal, in their own spin of ways. Who you think so far has been the best team this year? I mean, right now when you look at the West, you got Fargo and at 36 wins, and in the East, you have the Dogs at 35. But I haven't seen much of Fargo, so I can't really say much of them right now at this point. But I just think the Dogs are just that good. But we'll see at that point how it's going to go. But I'd like to hear from you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you think that someone else would enjoy this podcast, please share it with them via Facebook. It's going to be on YouTube, whatever the case may be, on Twitter, that kind of stuff. Just share it. The more we get this out here, the more fans we get in here, the more we get to have a discussion, and the better quality of the podcast is going to be. It's just kind of one of those things. But like I said, if you enjoyed the video or enjoyed the podcast, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do comment, I will try to get back with you. Sometimes I don't look at my phone all the time, or I don't have notifications on all the time, so I don't always see it all the time. But yeah, I'm your host, Kyle Savedich, and I want you to enjoy the rest of your day, rest of your evening, whenever you're listening to this, and go Cats.